Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Spooky Chicks and Spooky Cabins. And horror flicks. We are two best friends that like to recap and dissect our favorite horror films while drinking our favorite beverages. I'm Emma, as always, joined by the wonderful Allison.
That's me. Hello.
Allie, what the hell have you been up to?
A lot and nothing at the same time. I did a race with my mom this past weekend, the San Diego Rock and Roll, and then we went to Islands.
God, we just love a good chain, don't we?
We love a good chain, and they have the endless bowls of chicken tortilla soup.
I mean, I fully understand that.
Yeah.
Like you have to. You have to. That's actually my favorite chicken tortilla soup.
Same. What have you been up to?
I've actually had quite a bit going on in the background here. I started a new job just a few days ago on Monday, and I'm really loving it so far. So yeah, that has been very exciting. But anyways, Als, do you want to tell us what film we are reviewing today?
Yes, I do. This is one of my faves. It is The Cabin in the Woods of 2012. And for those of you who have not seen this is your spoiler warning because we're going to be recapping everything that happens. So if you don't want us to ruin it, go watch it right now. But if you're ready to come on this cabin road trip with us, come along.
Please come along, would ya?
Please. Sir, can you come along with us?
Please, sir, can I have another? Yeah. For our summary for today's film, a group of kids go to a remote cabin in the woods where their fate is unknowingly controlled by technicians as a part of a worldwide conspiracy where all horror movie cliches are revealed to be part of an elaborate sacrifice ritual.
I guess that's accurate.
A mouthful. But it is accurate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Als, do you remember like the first time you saw this film?
I don't remember the first time, but I remember thinking it was going to be what it was, which is basically a satire. And loving that idea of like spinning it a horror movie in that way.
I had the opposite reaction because, and I only vaguely remember this, but I feel like when I first saw it in 2012, I remember thinking it was going to be a traditional horror film. And I went in pretty blind without seeing like the trailer or knowing anything about it. And so there was a part of me that was disappointed when I found out that it was this kind of experiment essentially. And I was like, what the fuck? I wanted this to be like a real traditional horror film. But now, as years have passed, as I've digested it a lot more, watched it more, and have grown to this like major horror fan, I can appreciate this film so much more now. And I love it.
I have one thing to say to you.
Tell me.
Watch trailers, bitch. Am I the only one that still watches trailers?
I do sometimes, but I'm not going to lie. I feel like sometimes we have we're consuming so much media all the time that is just spoiling the shit out of everything that I just like don't want to watch trailers. I only want to know a small tidbit about what I'm about to see, and then I want the rest to be a surprise. Like,
I mean, I haven't seen the new Lilo and Stitch, but I know what happens.
Well, yeah, it's pretty much copy paste.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
Get ready to cry.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh God. Here we go. This film took place in Vancouver, Canada, and was filmed from March to May 2009 on an estimated budget of $30 million. This film was originally slated for a release on October 23rd, 2009, but then unfortunately it was pushed to February 2010, just to be delayed again to January 2011 in hopes to convert it to be viewed in 3D, because if y'all remember back then, there was a big push on like 3D films. But it was indefinitely shelved by MGM Studios due to some financial difficulties. Then in 2011, later that year, Lionsgate picked up the distribution rights and it was released in the United States on April 13th, 2012 with commercial success. And it grossed $66.5 million worldwide and received generally positive reviews from critics who praised its screenplay, tone, and performances.
Good for them.
One last thing I want to mention here is related to Roger Ebert, and he is not one to always give really great reviews on things, but this film critic gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, saying that The Cabin in the Woods has been constructed almost as a puzzle for horror fans to solve. Which conventions are being toyed with, which authors and films are being referred to, is the film itself an act of criticism.
Can you imagine if this never got seen or put into theaters or on DVD or anything?
That would be so sad. And we wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Scary butterfly effect.
I know. I don't like that thought. But this also came out on a Friday the 13th, so maybe this was a lucky thing for them.
This film also, speaking of good ratings, got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which is one of the highest I think that we've rated. And I'm going to say that I completely agree with it.
Interesting.
Oh.
For the Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter is 92%. Can you believe?
You should see my face right now. I'm like, well, I do believe.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I still believe.
No.
Oh. If you can bring up Polar Express in every film, I can bring up the sexy saxophone player of The Lost Boys. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough. I mean, I like this movie, but 92% is...
That is high. That
real
is high.
And the popcorn meter is 74, which more aligns with the IMDb score.
Yeah, definitely. Something else to mention is that critics really liked this film on IMDb as well. I'm kind of curious to your thoughts of why that might be.
It's probably because it is horror, but it is comedy. It's a satire. It's like basically making fun of the horror genre while also being a good movie.
It's like pulling the curtain almost like behind all of these like classic cliches. I will say, and we already said spoiler alert at the top of the film, but towards the end when all the monsters are revealed, I can't name a horror film where we see so many monsters in one. So it definitely has that going for it.
I just think it was so cleverly done. Like, I just think they did it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. This film was directed by Drew Goddard, who he's got some cool stuff under his belt.
Something super random is Homeboy wrote some episodes of one of my newer favorite shows called High Potential with Caitlin Olsen. Not sure if you've seen it.
Oh my God, I love her. And yes, the producer and I have watched several episodes of it. She's so fantastic. I love her.
I love her.
And it was written by not only Drew, but also Josh Whedon as well.
Since we're going on a cabin in the woods trip, what are we drinking today?
You mean, what are we bringing in our Yeti coolers? Yeti, sponsor us. No, I'm just kidding. But also not kidding. I am drinking I'm going to pronounce this really incorrectly, Aperito Spritz, and it's a Trader Joe's, basically Aperol Spritz ready to go in a bottle, and it's fucking fantastic. You heard it here first. What are you drinking?
I got some 3 standards. Oh, she is drinking
a little
that.
early.
I've got my White Claw, my water from my big dumb cup, and some sacrificial blood from the underworld.
And from me.
Okay.
Here, I'll make a little cut and squirt it on over to you.
Perfect. Or just like IV.
Just open your mouth.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, cheers to, oh my gosh, this is our 49th film review. Sorry, just can we take a sec? Because we've got one more. Next one's going to be 50, baby. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. We're going to be over the hill. Cheers.
Yay. This film starts with kind of an interesting opening sequence that's very deep red in color, and there's a lot of different art. It almost seems like the art is from different time periods, but definitely like older, and I'm talking like 400 years and older.
Would you say ancient times?
I would say, you know what? I think I would say ancient times. And like the setup is it's very intense right out of the gate.
It's making it to seem it's going to be like a serious horror film. And then we get an immediate jump to what seems like a corporate setting. And I will say the timing in this film is pretty elite with like, it's just comedic timing.
Yeah, they have several times in the film where it just jumps and it's like the perfect moment.
Exactly.
So then we meet technicians at an office. So we meet Sitterson, who's played by Richard Jenkins, or AKA
the dad from fucking Step Brothers.
There you go. And then we also meet his counterpart, Hadley, which is played by Bradley Whitford, which if you know him and his work, he pretty recently was in Get Out and was the dad.
Oh,
so,
wow. Yeah,
that's one of the bigger roles to me that comes to mind.
To me, I think of Billy Madison.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a good one too. They are casually discussing like their personal lives a little bit, and they're at the water jug in their office.
They're like grabbing gross shit from the kitchen in there. And one of them is complaining about how their wife wants to get pregnant and has already baby-proofed the entire house. And that's pretty ironic for someone in their profession that we're about to learn about.
It absolutely is. Then they get interrupted by a coworker talking about how Stockholm went south. And I love this quote. One of them says, "Everyone knows you can't trust the Swedes."
When I heard that, I was like, fuck, Emma. Emma is Swedish.
I'm like 50% Swedish. So, okay, they can fuck right off. All right.
And they also talk about how Japan has perfect records for, and right now, if you haven't seen it or know anything, we don't know what they're actually talking about, but they're prepping us for this knowledge.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to come into play a little bit later. They don't seem super concerned, and they're like telling their office mate who's trying to like talk to them about Sweden and Stockholm and whatnot. They're saying, look, don't even worry about it. Like, we haven't had a glitch since 98. So it doesn't seem like they're taking like whatever the situation is to be too seriously.
They also bring up a betting pool, and we're like, as a viewer, what the fuck? What kind of betting pool are we talking about?
I know. I'm very, very curious, but we're going to find out.
Yes, we are.
Suddenly, their banter is interrupted again by a very loud, jarring Cabin in the Woods title card. And this sets like the film's like very ironic tone, which I love.
I think this is one of my favorite title scenes I've ever seen in a horror film, because it's the two of them on like a, what do you call that? Like
a golf cart.
A golf cart, just going through the halls, and Hadley's like complaining still, and the other one's not listening to him, and Hadley's like, are you even listening to me? And then it's just like, bam.
Yeah. Can I say one thing? This might be really niche.
Okay.
This whole office situation, the golf cart, everything, 100% Austin Powers. This reminds me of Dr. Evil's lair. And then when Austin tries to sneak in and he has the golf cart and he's trying to turn it around, and it's like the tiniest little hallway.
Back and forth.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, anyways, I digress. So then we are in a different setting. We are now at like a college apartment, and we're going to meet a group of friends in this scene. So I'm going to name all of them, but we meet Dana, Jules, Kurt, Holden, and Marty. Kristen Connolly plays Dana, and she's like the first girl that we are introduced to. She's got red hair. You can tell she's maybe being set up as potentially like the final girl, I feel like, of this film.
Randomly, she's in one of my comfort movies, Mona Lisa Smile. So,
I love that for you.
I love seeing people's random credits.
Yeah. We are then introduced to Anna Hutchinson, who plays Jules, and Jules is like her counterpart, her best friend in this film. And Jules is like talking to her about how she just like dyed her hair blonde. She's like, oh my God, do you like it? Like, da-da-da. It's kind of random.
It's super random.
Then we're also introduced to Chris Hemsworth, who plays Kurt. Obviously, y'all know him from Thor.
And of the Hemsworth brothers.
We also meet shortly after Jesse Williams, who plays Holden, and I'm obsessed with him.
He's so hot.
He's so hot.
And he's in Grey's Anatomy, but does he look a little older than the rest of the kids?
I could see that. I mean, it's so weird that they're all trying to play like college, and they're probably all like in their 30s in this point. But
girl, aren't we all trying to play college at this point?
That's true. And then shortly after that, we're going to meet Marty, who is played by Fran Kranz.
Wow, I didn't realize that was his name. That's quite the name.
It's like we have it written on our notes with them. You say it out loud. You're like, all right, all right. He's the best. He's the best.
He's my favorite in this. But as there's all packing up, we see that Jules has a shit ton of luggage, and Kurt gives her shit for it. And I can relate. And both producer and Emma can attest to how much luggage I bring on trips.
That's literally you when we were in Texas paying hundreds of dollars in bag fees with Frontier after I warned you of their bag policies. But a girl's never going to learn.
And here we are. You know what? Cowboy boots take up a lot of space.
They do. You're right. You're right. Something to mention too is that in this like group of friends or what have you, Holden is actually a bit newer to the group, and Jules is like kind of trying to set them up in a very casual way. Like she just kind of mentions like, hey, Holden's cute. He's single. He's new. So they're kind of setting that up within this like storyline. Marty finally shows up, and he...
You mean Franz Kranz? What's his name?
Fran Kranz, yes. Okay. He shows up, and he is clearly a stoner. His entire car is, what do you call that? Hotboxed.
Hotboxed.
A fun fact here is that he's carrying this massive bong that looks like a coffee cup that has been like extended to be extra long. And the thermal cup and / bong was fully functional. And the prototype cost $5,000 to make. I wonder where that thing is now. That's what I want to know.
Honestly, I hope he kept it.
I hope so too.
And I think Homeboy is straight up an engineer because he made this. So good for him.
Yeah.
And the gang is kind of giving him shit, like, what the fuck, dude? And he says, cops will never pull over a man with a bong in his hand. He will blind them with ancient logics. And then we get, okay, just shouting this out, talks about ancient again. I also love how he sees Jules and he's like, whoa, have you gone gray? Because she's blonde now.
Yeah.
But he also is, in my mind, the smartest person in this movie.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see that later on. So the cabin crew leaves in an RV. They're very unaware of this orchestrated nature of their trip that is about to happen. And right as they leave, we see a man watching them from the roof of their apartment building, and he's got like an earpiece. Very specific, like surveillance-like.
And he's like, where a go?
Yeah.
They've left the
eagle has left the nest,
exactly.
so to speak.
Yeah. Hot take, I fucking hate RVs.
And why do you hate them?
Because they don't make sense. Moving on.
I think you've talked about this before,
Have
actually.
Yeah.
Well,
then everybody should know.
I mean, I kind of understand, to be honest. RVs are scary.
It's like a big box on 4 wheels going on big roads.
I don't get it. It's like I feel the same about planes. But anyways, so back with Sitterson and Hadley in the office, we see some surveillance monitors that are revealing that the cabin crew is being watched and maybe even manipulated by the people in the office.
We're also introduced to Truman, who is, excuse me, super fucking hot.
Wait a second. I did not know that his name was Truman.
You're welcome.
Well, because what does that remind you of?
The Truman Show? Oh, okay.
Please insert a ding, ding, ding.
I win.
Okay, whoa, I missed that. So thank you for calling that out.
And he seems to have more like of a moral compass than the others. And he's not used to it, but he's like, I understand the assignment.
He's like maybe head security. He doesn't understand, it seems, like the assignment.
Yeah.
Which we don't really know even the full assignment yet.
Correct.
The group then stops at a very grimy gas station and they meet Mordecai, who is a foreboding harbinger who warns them of the cabin that they're going to stay at and the many owners who have come and gone.
They're trying to pay for gas and Marty's like, I don't think this machine knows about money. Maybe it's barter gas. And I'm like, I fucking love you, Marty. And also,
silly guy.
Would you stop at this gas station? Where did this even come from? Like, why would you pick this gas station?
This gas station reminds me of every other fucking gas station that you should never stop at, including Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
There are probably several others. House of Wax.
Oh my God.
There are many others in my mind. So never do that. Why? Maybe just get some gas and then have some on hand in your freaking huge ass RV.
Totally. That's what I'm saying.
Mic drop. Things in this situation do get a bit tense at the gas station because Mordecai makes a weird comment that Jules is like a whore. Oh, like you little whore, says something like weird about her. And Marty stands up for Jules and just this whole little like kind of tense moment plays out.
But the interaction kind of sets us up. Mordecai calling her a whore is kind of setting us up to learn about these archetypes that we will see down the road.
And as the viewer, we're almost like subconsciously setting up all of these characters in the RV. We're setting them up with those different archetypes in our heads. I mean, I think I even mentioned at the beginning, like they're kind of setting up Dana as like the final girl or like maybe the virgin of the group. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so Mordecai then warns them pretty vaguely that they might not be able to come back and that they should just watch what they're doing, essentially.
So we're like, why the fuck are you going to this cabin? But Kurt says it's his cousin's cabin and they bought the old Buckner place. So is his cousin in on this thing? Does he have a cousin?
We don't really know how far the orchestration of this entire trip was. But that's a great question.
But I think maybe it's like Hadley says, it's the chem department's problem, not ours.
There you go. While driving, we then see the RV pass through a tunnel. And it takes them into this like weird dimension. It's like they pass through the tunnel and then we see that there's almost like an imaginary wall. And this is where it brings me to like Truman Show vibes. And it's just like so weird. And we see a falcon crash into the fake wall, kind of revealing its appearance a tiny bit in like a glitch. And just like I said, Truman Show vibes.
You know what vibes it gives me?
Oh God. What?
It's, going through a tunnel in this train-like automobile. And in the Polar Express, a falcon eats one of the kids' tickets while going through a tunnel. So basically, these are the same film.
That might be your best direct Polar Express reference that we have had, and it has only taken 49 episodes, people.
Ouch.
No, I mean that in the best way because sometimes it's a little bit of a reach. Can we insert some clapping?
So basically they're the same film, which is great. But I also feel like this RV should not be on this road in general because of the clearance in the tunnel and just the dirt.
The road is really tiny too. It kind of reminds me of like you've driven through Yosemite. Like, you know how like some of the roads are like one way. Like you have to kind of go and then wait, see if anyone's coming. It kind of gives those vibes to me, but who knows?
Or Polar Express, but yeah.
Or yeah, sure. Then the cabin crew finally reaches the cabin.
It's definitely giving Evil Dead in so many ways. It like looks...
Yes, so similar. And that it could very much have been intentional because this film is trying to play on all those tropes, And the friends all decide to explore a little bit. And as they're exploring the cabin, I mean, it's very old. It is not like a new Yellowstone cabin where it's like beautiful, rich ranch vibes. It's old and it's got some pretty unsettling details. One of the first things that we find is that one of the rooms has like a two-way mirror. There's also some really creepy art and decor that is decorating the entire place.
Wouldn't the morbid paintings be enough to be like, fuck this, let's leave?
That would 100% be a red flag to me. I'd be like, what's going on?
And then when Holden is his name, right? He takes off the painting and discovers that two-way mirror. He's like about to watch Dana undress and he's thinking about it. He's just thinking about it.
He's just thinking about it. I think it gets to a point where it's like she's really about to like take her bra off and he's like, whoa, okay. Like he has a moral compass and he's like, okay, I'm not going to do that to her. So he like bangs on the wall. He's like, whoa, stop.
So he's hot and good
nice.
Yes.
Yeah. And he offers to switch rooms with Dana, which is so sweet because of the two-way mirror. But the entire crew learns of this two-way mirror and people are freaked out, but not to the degree that they probably should be.
Yeah. Why is nobody panicking? Also, when they switch rooms, Dana starts to look at Holden undressing, but I'm
also like, Holden, bitch, you just saw her undressing. Now you're in that room and you're undressing. Like, he wants her to see that. So while Dana is settling in her room, we see this like pan out. And it's actually this really cool scene that it pans out and it becomes the screen of one of the TVs that the facility is like watching surveillance on. And we see Sitterson and Hadley and they're watching the cabin crew from their surveillance cameras. And they have a classic surveillance room with like many different angles, cameras in every room. Mordecai then calls the facility and gives an update to Hadley and Sitterson. And he's being really weird and like cryptic towards the facility crew. And he says like the ancient ones see everything. But the crew sort of just laughs at him at what he's saying and really don't take it seriously at all.
And I just love how he is being cryptic, but then he's just like, the ancient ones. Hey, wait, am I on speakerphone?
Oh yeah, I forgot. He has this like moment the whole time where he thinks he's on speakerphone. I forgot.
But like fucking Hadley is like, no, buddy, sorry, you're not anymore. And then he keeps him on speakerphone. I love that scene.
Back at the cabin crew gets ready to jump into the lake and enjoy the afternoon sun. A fun little fact here is that during the lake scene, the only person not to jump into the lake right away is Marty, who remains fully clothed on the dock. And this was intentional, partially due to the fact that the actor Fran Kranz, our guy, was noticeably being in as good, if not better shape than the other male actors, if you can believe that. Because, I mean, we're dealing with frickin' Jesse Williams and Thor. And in the commentary for the film, the writers joked that he was ripped like a muscular Jesus. And they assert that if Marty were shown being that fit, it would just like kind of ruin the character and his like stoner vibes. So this is partly also why Marty wears baggier clothes than the other students as well.
But if you look close enough, you can kind of see those muscles. And is it me or is he kind of hot?
I'm okay, but I respect that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And as they're at the lake, Kurt actually pushes Jules into the lake in a joking way. But what the fuck would you do if producer pushed you into a lake?
I loved the way that he pushed her in because she's at the edge and he's right behind her and he's like, wait, do you see that? What is that? What is that in the water? Oh my God, it's my girlfriend. And then he pushes her in. And I may have been pissed if I was like in high school. I don't know. I feel like my confidence wasn't as high in high school, you know, but like nowadays I'd be like, fuck yeah, that was really funny. What about you?
I don't know. It's like, do we have dinner plans later? I don't want to do my hair again or my makeup.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't want like my cell phone on me or like anything important or yeah, I mean, I agree. But I also sometimes you just got to live and let go, you know?
Totally. But this is a sketch ass cabin and a sketch ass lake.
Very true. Back at the facility, Sitterson is starting to take bets on who's going to take out the crew at the cabin.
And Truman is kind of like, this is fucked up. And the female chemist, sorry, I don't remember her name, she's just saying, this is just our way of letting off steam in this business. Still fucked up.
Yeah, because they're like Sitterson and Hadley, I think, are explaining to Truman, they're like, this is like our betting process and this is all a big game. One thing to note here is essentially the kids at the cabin, like this is sort of a choose your own adventure, so to speak. You remember those Goosebumps books?
I do.
I loved those.
I think that was a show too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You're right.
Anyway, so they're, doing this bet. It's choose your own adventure with the kids. And I love this transition of the crew is doing their betting and they say, let's get this party started. And with their betting with the money. And then it transitions to Kurt in the cabin saying, let's get this party started with beers.
Oh, I love that. I don't know if I noticed that.
It was very creative.
Oh.
Yeah.
During a game of Truth or Dare in the evening at the cabin, Jules is dared to make out with a wolf head that is mounted on the wall. And she does it. And it's a very
she commits.
Yeah. I was like, it's an intense scene. But like good for her. Honestly, great acting chops.
She commits to that fully, and they actually covered the mouth of the wolf that's on the wall with powdered sugar, so it wouldn't be like as awful for her.
I think they also did it to try to make it look like dusty, which kind of grosses me out.
But it works.
One thing I have to mention here, and if y'all listen to our other episodes, you know that one of my biggest fears is werewolves. But I think this might actually be my biggest fear, which is like being dared to make out with a mounted wolf head. It's basically Peach Fuzz on a mounted head.
And she quite literally makes out with it.
Oof.
She wants that sugar.
I was going to say wolf. Am I right?
So Jules does that. And then it's Dana's turn to pick Truth or Dare, and Kurt is like, ugh, we know you're going to pick Truth. You square.
She's like, well, fuck that. I'm going to pick Dare. Then in that moment, the cellar door flings open, which we can assume is triggered by the facility. This is not just like a random happenstance. Sitterson actually says at one point, all we got to do is get them to the cellar and then they do the rest. So, we can guess that this was led by the facility to make this little cellar door open.
For their choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And I love at this moment that Kurt says, maybe it was the wind. And Marty says, that makes what kind of sense? Marty's the smartest person here. He's just so saying. Smart,
yeah.
And this scene is very Evil Dead coded.
It's almost like scene for scene.
Honestly.
In some respects. So after the cellar door opens, Dana picks Dare, and Jules dares her to go and explore. So not only does she go down, but then the entire group goes down and they explore this like cellar full of strange relics, like a conch, a music box, a diary, there's like a puzzle sphere kind of thing, etc. There's all kinds of shit going on down here.
And as they're going down, Marty's looking around and says, I'm not sure it's so awesome to be down here. Honestly, the writers gave him the best commentary. And he's like, I dare you to go back upstairs, everyone.
I would do the same exact thing.
Wait, would you go down though?
I would. I have to
Would
say I
you?
would. My curiosity, it may kill the cat or the Emma, but I would go down there. I don't know for how long I'd go down there. I don't know. It would depend on a few factors, but would you go down there?
I probably, again, it would depend, but I probably wouldn't, but I'd still die first.
Yeah.
Somehow. And all the kids are now playing with the different objects that are around that is their choose your own adventure. And which one would you choose?
I was a little bit privy to the music box. I love a good music box. I have this like wonderful, not traditional music box in the sense that you like open it and it's almost like a Jack in the Box situation, but I have this one that it's like a little copper airplane that's in a mini airport and it's from my grandpa and it plays this like beautiful lullaby. It's not haunted, at least that I think. So that's what I would pick. But what about you?
I think I would honestly pick what Dana picks.
The diary. Yeah, you are such a writer.
I'm a diary girly.
You are. You would read that shit out loud.
Well, I don't know.
Actually, maybe you wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Maybe you wouldn't. Well,
because I want, let this be known, everybody burn my diaries if I die.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
So lo and behold, Dana does read from the diary, and the diary entry is from Anna Patience Buckner from 1903. And this unknowingly triggers the rise of the zombie redneck torture family. That is their name in the betting system at the facility. Marty warns her not to read the whole thing, but of course, what does Dana do? She fucking reads it.
Also, there's a little voice that's inserted from out of nowhere and just saying, read it. And all the other kids are like, sure, let's read it. But Marty is the only one that says, what the fuck?
I need to say right now, never fucking read Latin out loud. How many times have we learned that is not what you do?
Have we learned nothing from the Necronomicon?
Have we learned nothing from The Exorcist? Well, even though sometimes that was actually helpful in the end of the day. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, and I know you love reading, but maybe stop.
I'm stressed. In the facility, the staff then celebrate because bets were placed on which monster would be summoned based on the relics that the cabin crew interacted with, and the quote unquote, the zombie redneck torture family won. One of the facility staff members actually complains that they chose zombies, but that they didn't win the bet. And this is so funny. I love this part because then Sitterson explains that there's a big difference between zombies and zombie redneck torture family.
I think there were like 3 different like categories of zombie.
There probably were. I mean, if you think about it, there are a lot of different zombies within.
That's true.
I mean, there's like World War Z zombies where those are fucking fast as shit. There's like I Am Legend where they're like kind of underground and like only like come out at night. There's fucking
Dawn of the Dead.
There's literally so many. So I kind of get it.
Same.
Like if you're not going to be specific, you can just say zombies, girlfriend. Like you got to be specific.
You have to be specific.
Yeah.
Always. Sitterson's like, maintenance always wins. I don't know what to tell you. So deal with it. And Hadley, I love this. Hadley's bummed because all he wants to see is a merman. And Kurt literally had the conch right in his hands, but that
didn't end up happening.
However, we'll see something later.
Yeah, maybe a little later.
And we also see that the Japanese crew is dealing with a bunch of young school kids, and something like a mix of The Grudge and The Ring is tormenting them. So it's between the US and the Japanese at the moment.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on. Later that night, as the crew is hanging out in the living room after the whole like basement summoning, Jules is weirdly dancing for everyone very sexually. And she's like really playing into this whole like hot blonde whore archetype.
And Homegirl is pre-med. And I mean, you can do both. But from what I can see from everybody's reaction is this is out of character for her. And she also basically gives Marty a lap dance, kind of teasing him.
Yeah, it's very weird. She's like, Marty, we made out, remember, in freshman hall, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, that was literally one time. Chill out.
And how is Kurt like just chill with that?
Who knows? Yeah, but the entire crew seems to be like, what's going on? This is weird. But it's probably the hair dye.
Well,
Kurt then takes her and is like, let's go into the woods, baby. They're going to go get it on.
Why the fuck would you do that after all this sketchy ass business? Like, even if it weren't sketch, like in this situation, if you're gonna go try and fuck in the woods, you're gonna be on some leaves, some pine needles, a raccoon, a rock, maybe a
some
squirrel.
Zombies.
Yeah,
who knows? I think we're hitting a part in the film where we're really starting to see the facility's manipulation tactics. I mean, we are about to see it come to fruition with the woods and with Kurt and Jules. In this moment, Marty confides in Dana for a moment and he thinks that something weird is going on. And he's like, since when does Jules act like a celebutard and Kurt is acting like, like a jock asshole? So they really are starting to play into these archetypes and likely being manipulated by the facility. I mean, we know the hair dye was one thing, but there might be something going on with Kurt as well.
Yeah, we don't get much more insight into that. And Marty says, we are being controlled by puppeteers. And Dana says, puppeteers? Marty comes back and says, wait, Pop-Tarts? We have Pop-Tarts? And then him in his stone state decides to go read a book with pictures.
Love that he has these moments of like really smart. And then he's like, oh no, back to stoner guy.
Yeah.
So Dana and Holden are the only ones kind of left in this living room. And so Dana joins Holden on the couch and is trying to decipher what the Latin in the diary means.
Why the fuck does he know Latin?
He's like, oh, I took a little bit like freshman year, right? Or something.
In high school, like that was a long time ago, bro.
That's very surprising. And then with Kurt and Jules, the facility, they manipulate some of the lighting and pheromones to encourage sex. Essentially, Jules complains that she's a little bit chilly, so then they turn up the temperature. And then she also complains that it's a little bit too dark and she's a little scared. So they literally turn up the lighting within the forest as well. They have like so much control of everything within their environment.
I wonder if this technology is actually like real.
It's not.
Could be. You don't know.
I mean, maybe. Shoot. Shoot.
But both Hadley and Sitterson, they're like, come on, let's see some boobies. And Truman says, is that really necessary? And they both say, dude, we just need to satisfy the customer.
And I'm like, who is the customer?
Mm-hmm. We're going to learn.
Who is the damn customer?
Yep.
Then, as Kurt and Jules are mid-thrust.
Why did you say mid-thrust? It was more like a dry hump.
Okay. Well, a mid-dry hump thrust.
Okay.
The Buckners, who are the zombie redneck family, they ambush them in this forest all by themselves in the woods. And Jules is gruesomely killed, fulfilling the dumb blonde horror archetype.
What was she dragged away with? Was it a bear trap?
I can't even remember, but yeah, I think so.
It was like something like
very sharp
with a chain.
Yeah. In the facility, Sitterson says a weird prayer or something strange, and then Hadley pulls a lever, filling blood into a weird symbol that we later find out is like a sacrificial
blood pool,
blood thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's very weird. Very interesting.
And as they're saying this prayer or whatever it is, Hot Truman is like reacting like, what the fuck did I sign myself up for?
And they say, as it ever was, which is giving Handmaid's Tale under his eye, blessed be the fruit.
It's also giving the bling ring when they say, and so it shall be. Or
oh, I don't know. I don't think I've seen that. Marty gets really freaked out while he is inside, and he gets freaked out by some voices that he hears, and he goes to take a walk.
I just love that how like Marty was like reading his little like picture book and starts hearing shit. He's like, I'm not hearing shit. And then he hears that voice that says, go for a walk. And he's like, I will not. And then he gets up and he's like, I'm going to go for a walk.
I know. But he's like, I'm not a puppet.
Yeah.
And on Marty's walk, unfortunately, there is a Buckner behind him. He runs into Kurt outside of the cabin, who has escaped like the zombie family that attacked him and Jules. They go back inside, and the remaining friends, the four of them, so everyone minus Jules, they realize that they are under attack when one of the big zombies shows up at the front door and throws Jules' head at Dana for her to catch.
Also, Dana caught that real good.
Great catch.
Great catch.
Then in this moment, the Buckners all invade the cabin. So just like a redneck zombie family. And the crew realizes that they must have summoned the zombies by reading patient's diary from downstairs. Duh.
These dumb fucks, like,
my goodness.
The facility is doing their job well because they made them do this.
I love this part because at first Kurt suggests that they should all stay together, but then the facility manipulates his thinking and he suggests that the cabin crew should split up and go into their individual rooms.
It's so funny because he's literally walking saying, let's stay together. And then he just like a mind shift happens.
He's like, you know what?
Yeah.
We should actually split up to cover more ground. Everyone go to your individual rooms. It's like, no, that is not the way to do it.
And of course, who's the only one that says, what the fuck?
Our main man, Marty. When Marty gets into his room, he discovers surveillance wiring in a lamp, and he starts to grow even more suspicious of being watched. He literally says, I'm on a reality TV show. My parents are going to think I'm such a burnout.
I mean...
Okay, true.
True.
Then Marty is attacked by Judah Buckner, who's like one of the big boys, and is taken by Judah into the woods. And then they kind of have a little bit of a scuffle, and it's presumed that Marty has been killed as he screams for help.
He's literally yeeted out of the window. Like, what?
Very scary.
He tries to beat Judah with the bong cup.
With the coffee cup bong?
Yeah.
And with another kill added to the list, the facility, Sitterson and Hadley, they pull another lever for the Fool, and more blood is added to the sacrificial altar, is what I'm going to call it. Then, I mean, things kind of move pretty rapidly at this point in the film. So Dana is then attacked, and her and Holden try to escape to the basement.
Escape to the basement. That is just like running up the stairs in a fucking Scream movie.
It's like, where is that going to take you? You're going to have to jump out a window, or in this case, you did.
Yeah, like where's the logic there?
Yeah. Then unfortunately Holden gets attacked, but Dana intervenes and kills the zombie? ?
Was it like one of those things like with the meat hook with the girl that sings Senzafine?
Oh my gosh, yes, in Ghost Ship?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Very
similar.
Very similar vibes here.
However, he survives.
Yeah. Weird. Then Kurt shows up and leads Dana and Holden outside, and they all start running to the RV. Finally, something is happening and these people are trying to get out of here.
I don't understand why Kurt is so kind of calm and collected. Not calm and collected, but he's not so sad and traumatized by Jules' death.
I think in these situations, people either go one of two ways. They either sit there and they can't move because they're so paralyzed, or they're pumped with so much adrenaline that it's like, let's just get the fuck out because they can't even process what they just saw. So I feel like he's kind of more the latter.
True.
Meanwhile, in Japan, we get a glimpse into seeing the school of little girls, like Ali had mentioned previously, who were kind of being tormented by like a grudge type spirit. They do some sort of little ritual together and they defeat the spirit in their little situation. And the facility team is panicking because that was not supposed to happen.
And I love this scene because it's just these young, they're what, like 8 or 9?
Yeah, like young schoolgirls, all in their little cute little outfits.
They're all holding hands in their outfits, and they basically turn the demon ring grudge, whatever it is, into a frog. And they defeat it. Like, they're just like, oh,
so cute.
It's a frog now.
A fun fact here is that the failed rituals from other countries are references to various classic movies and monsters. So the Kyoto ritual is a reference to Ringu. The Buenos Aires ritual is a reference to King Kong. The Stockholm ritual is to John Carpenter's The Thing. And the Madrid ritual appears to reference Dracula. So we actually see these later playing out on television screens, like within the facility. So it's like every country has their own like weird experiment situation going on. Then Dana, Kurt, Holden flee using the RV, and they discover the tunnel leading them home is unfortunately blocked. It was intentionally collapsed by the facility.
See, this is why we don't drive RVs.
They try to figure out what to do, which leads Kurt to take his motorcycle that he had on the back of the RV and attempt to jump the canyon on his motorbike.
I want to know why he brought that in the first place. Like, what are you doing here?
Who knows? This is the first undeniable confirmation that the group is trapped in this artificial environment because Kurt tries to make the jump And it's so sad but funny because Holden and Dana are like, okay, dude, all your speed, all your might, you really need to make this jump. And he's like, I'm going to get us out of here. And it's like this moment, this little moment of hope. And then literally he runs right into the wall and dies and falls right down, just like the Falcon did in the beginning when we saw the RV going through the tunnel on the way to the cabin. And Dana says under her breath, puppeteers, Marty was right. And in this moment, another lever is pulled with Kurt's death.
And he was the jock, right?
He was like the athletic one, whatever archetype. Yeah.
So that happens. And then it's just Dana and Holden now. And Holden is driving the RV. And I want to know how they turned that RV around on that shallow of a cliff side.
These are all great questions.
Okay.
It's a movie, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what the producer would say. Yes.
After Kurt's death, Holden and Dana try to drive off to escape, but Dana is definitely not feeling very optimistic.
But Hot Holden is like, we got this girl. We're going to make this, and we're just going to drive straight through the night and find somewhere.
I know. I love his optimism because normally that would be me. I'd be like, we got this. It's good.
Oh, meanwhile, I'd be just like passed out on the top bunk of the motorhome.
I'd be like, don't worry, Allie. I'm going to get you to safety.
Yeah. And I'd be like, all right, cool. Just leave me. It's fine.
Unfortunately, in this moment, Holden is then killed when a Buckner attacks from inside the RV, and the vehicle crashes into a lake, and Dana barely escapes by swimming to shore.
I hated this because water and RVs are like two of my worst fears combined.
I agree. I have nightmares about being trapped in a vehicle like in water. And back at the facility, the crew starts cheersing to the ritual, and the security guy, Truman, he asks how it can be complete if Dana is still alive. And Hadley explains that the virgin's death is actually optional and that all she has to do is suffer, which she obviously did. And then he claims that he's kind of rooting for her until other coworkers show up to party and he kind of just forgets all about Dana.
He literally is like lamenting and saying, you know, I hope she's okay, whatever. And he's kind of making this cute little speech, and then he says, oh, the tequila showed up. It's the tequila lady.
So in this moment, it's like we're learning the virgin is the only part of the ritual where like that person can live or die. They just have to suffer in some way. But if they make it out of it, great, cool. But they also very much could die, and it doesn't impact the ritual being complete.
Right.
Like Ali said, everyone at the facility is partying. They're like, cool, success. Yay, everyone's dead. We're good, you know?
I don't know if you caught these awkward moments of like some of the people saying, hey, do you want to grab a drink? Like, no.
No.
Hey, do you want to celebrate?
No. Then little sweet Dana is attacked again as she gets up on the dock by a Buckner, the big tall one. I think it's Judah is his name. And she fights for her life as the facility prepares for the final step in the ritual. So it is technically complete, but I think there's still just like a few more steps. And
it's kind of an interesting scene because this is all happening. We see her being attacked by a Buckner on this huge screen while everyone's partying.
Yeah, they don't care because it doesn't matter what her fate is now at this point.
They're just doing their deliverables.
Yeah.
And speaking of the facility, how does one get into this profession? Is this on LinkedIn or?
Yeah, I think you can do an easy apply on LinkedIn. So, yeah. And suddenly the tension is broken in the room where like all the facility people are partying, and a special like red phone rings and Hadley answers.
And basically he just says, which one? So we know someone else is still alive. And we quickly learn it's Marty. And he's now derailing their whole plan at the facility. Quick question. Do I kind of want Marty and Dana to fuck?
I think that there's some sexual tension there for sure. Yeah. And like, you know, surviving all of this together, it's like, why not? Go procreate.
In the underworld.
In the underworld. Marty, who is alive and defiant, he rescues Dana from her situation on the dock with one of the Buckners. He survived thanks to his paranoia and immunity to some mind-altering chemicals from his weed because, of course, the facility fucking tampered with his weed. But guess what? This guy, it ain't his first rodeo smoking. This ain't going to affect him.
And he's the smartest one here.
Literally so smart.
But Marty makes them jump down into the Buckner grave where they popped out of. And I would be like, what the fuck, no. But once they get down there, it's like a whole ass, like, not building, but like...
It's like an underground elevator.
Underground elevator. And we see a dismembered zombie. And Marty's like, yeah, I had to kill that zombie. But what have you been up to?
No big deal. No big deal. They go down into this like underground elevator that's hidden within this grave. And Marty concludes that the elevator must have sent the zombies up to them because the elevator inside has no controls. So they're starting as they go to just sort of realize little things. And he thinks that he might be able to rig it to go down into the facility so that they can try to get out of there. Again, they don't really know that there's like a facility necessarily, but I think they've come to the conclusion that they're being manipulated in some point.
I think that Marty for sure knows that because I keep asking myself, what major is he? We basically know everybody else's majors, but what is he? I think he must be some kind of engineering or electrical engineering.
Ooh, yeah,
because
something.
He messes with the electric up top and now he's about to do it.
Oh, that's such a
elsewhere.
good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But he's for sure, he's a stoner, but he's fucking smart.
Marty and Dana successfully get the elevator to kind of work in their favor, and the elevator travels past several different cells. These cells contain nightmare fuel, is the best way that I can put it. It's almost as if 13 Ghosts had an elevator
Oh my God.
situation.
I said it's like 13 Ghosts plus Monsters, Inc.
Just my God. Yes. Like the rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you kind of like rotate, and it seems that the elevator works to show up at like a creature's kind of like enclosure and then let them out into like whatever the environment is. So anyways, their elevator is like going past these cells. It's not letting the monsters out, but they're getting to see these different monsters. So they see a werewolf, they see a ghost, they see like a really creepy, scary ballerina girl, etc.
Is this an adult Monsters, Inc.?
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I just realized
in the
that.
Scariest way. And Dana realizes that each artifact in the cellar corresponds to one of these entities. So like we mentioned earlier, there was the conch, there was the
ballerina box,
the ballerina music box, there's the diary, all of these things. It's almost like they summon a certain creature.
And Dana realizes, she's like, fuck, they made us choose our own death.
Yep. Very Goosebumps adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Then the scene zooms out, another great zoom shot, and we see hundreds of different monsters within their little elevator rooms, and it's so scary.
Fun fact, one of the people in the elevator, because there's so many things going on in the scene, but one of them's like their art director, just his head.
Oh, I heard of that. I did read that. Yeah.
Cute.
A description of this scene in the script reads, "This is an endless array of elevators moving around like a 3D puzzle. Monsters in every single one. It is the Costco of death."
But where do we find the bulk toilet paper here?
With the toilet paper monster, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, you're going to have to zoom in to find him.
That's like a cookie monster.
Yeah.
And in the facility, they're all freaking out because they're realizing that shit's about to go down. And they say, don't touch the girl because if the fool outlives her, everything will go to shit. And
yeah, they really need Marty to die still because him being alive was not part of their plan.
Then we go to Dana and Marty just be hugging, kind of cute, all covered in blood in the elevator. And again, this is their love story. This can't be the end.
This cannot be the end. Eventually, though, they are ambushed by a facility worker who tries to shoot them at first, but the facility worker gets in a tussle with a zombie arm and he dies, and they're able to escape and they take his gun. Thank God.
That scene reminded me of Return of the Living Dead.
Dude, yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. Also, there was some great cosplay from that film at Monsterpalooza this year.
Ooh.
Sorry, just had to mention that real quick.
Love it.
Then over the intercom, a female voice talks to Marty and Dana, trying to explain the ritual that they're involved in.
And the voice basically says, in so many words, like, oh, I know this is a bummer for you, but let's just get this sacrifice over with, and then we'll, everybody else can move on with their lives.
Yeah, like this is part of a bigger thing. You guys need to just like deal with it, essentially. Marty and Dana end up taking solace in this elevator control room because they are quickly ambushed by like military level, almost like SWAT team security people who are the best way to describe it is like an elevator hall. You know, if you were at any big building and you see like all the elevator doors, that's kind of like where they're at. And all of these security men are in that hall about to shoot them because they want to kill Marty first, obviously. As they're in the elevator kind of control room where they're trying to like take cover, they're able to trigger a purge by pressing a big red button. They're trying to do this as like their last ditch effort to try to get out before they're killed by all these security men. And this, in such a classic scene, unleashes all the monsters at the same time from those elevator doors, attacking all of those security men. And this creates a complete mayhem. And all of those facility staff are slaughtered in very inventive, gory ways. It's so fucking crazy.
I can't believe that this hasn't like happened before.
It seemed like a little bit too easy to like let them all out.
But then maybe they didn't have a Marty in the last scenario.
That's very true. Another thing I want to mention, because this is like a callback, one of the monsters gets out and is able to go and attack Hadley. And guess what monster it is?
Oh my gosh. To me, this is amazing because
so full circle.
All he wanted was a merman.
A merman.
A merman. And he gets fucking yeeted by a merman.
A very scary merman who then slaughters him and then the blood goes like through his blowhole. Did you notice that?
Kind of fun fact. Those are all practical effects.
So cool. God, you know your girl loves practical effects.
I know.
God,
there was nothing CGI about that. And it was like...
About that part.
About that part.
Yeah.
Correct.
I was like, there's a lot more though.
Correct. Yes. But I watched a YouTube video about how they did it and I was like, this is fucking amazing.
Speaking of all of the different monsters and everything, I do have a quick fun fact that AFX Studios' David Leroy Anderson estimated that close to 1,000 people were turned into one of around 60 different monster types. And as a crew of around 60 makeup and SFX artists were recruited for the process, which is so fucking cool. On that note, Als, which one is your favorite?
Okay, I can't pick one. I do love the merman because... I love that Hadley gets that interaction with him when all the time he's just like wanted to see a merman. Perfect ending.
It's just so sweet.
Yes. But there's also kind of a bat cat.
Yeah. Is it a banshee? That's kind of what I was wondering.
But what was your favorite, Emma?
Okay, I have two, and they both weirdly end up being like little girls. So, first and foremost, I love the little ballerina girl with like the crazy face with the teeth.
I knew you were going to say that.
Love that. I think that's so cool. And it's giving me like Abigail vibes from like nowadays.
Yep.
And then I also like, I don't know if you caught it, Als, but you know, we're big fans of The Shining. And it's not explicit that it's the Shining twins, but in that like zoom out scene where you see like the hundreds of different monsters, there is a part where you see the two little twins from The Shining kind of going up the elevator. Again, maybe it's not them specifically because of copyright issues, but I do kind of love that as well.
You know, I saw that.
Can we also talk about the unicorn death scene?
Okay.
You see this beautiful unicorn like galloping down the hall.
But it makes me also kind of sad because like, Charlie.
Yeah.
Unicorn. Charlie. It makes me sad that a unicorn might hurt someone. But like, obviously it will. It has a fucking horn.
There's also a freaking unicorn horror movie that just came out, Death of a Unicorn, with Jenna Ortega. That's kind of relevant right now.
Holy shit.
So, yeah. Put that in your fucking coffee bong pipe and smoke it. Sorry, that was aggressive.
That was really, I felt that aggression from across the table.
I'm sorry. I love you.
I love you.
Anyways, moving on. After Hadley and the other office gal are killed, Sitterson seems to escape momentarily before Dana stabs him. And I'm like, yes, queen.
Go queen. And before he actually dies, he says to Dana, please kill him, referring to Marty. So, because like the fool has to die before the virgin.
Yep. This is actually kind of a big turning point ending part of the movie. Dana and Marty are reaching the ritual chamber and they meet the director, who is played by the legendary Sigourney Weaver, who I fucking love in so many different ways.
I love her so much. And this is such a legendary role for her. Like, I love how vast her filmography is. Like, this is so random, but so fucking awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing.
While Dana and Marty are like, why are we being punished? And they say, well, the director says, well, it's because you're young, but it's different in every culture.
She explains like this like global ritual. Like she's like, each archetype, the whore, the athlete, the scholar, the fool, and the virgin, they must die in order to appease the ancient ones. So Dana is told by the director that she must kill Marty in order to complete the ritual. Otherwise, the entire world will end. It's kind of like do you want to just stay alive with your little stoner boyfriend and everyone will die? Or are you cool with killing him and then everyone will survive?
And Marty says, wow, those options are both so enticing. Again, he has the best lines.
He has the best lines. He's so funny. Dana obviously hesitates, but she has the gun and she does point it at Marty, which is really sad because I feel like till this point, we've all thought she was like a great character. And now I'm like, whoa, you're just going to like turn on him so fast?
But would you have?
I don't know. I'm caught in a crossroads, similar to Britney Spears.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Okay, well, if we were in the situation and I was the fool, would you kill me?
I'm banking on you being the first girl, though, so that I don't have to make that decision.
So I'm already dead, so it's like a moot.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, fuck it all, because my best friend and sister is gone. So fuck this whole place. I'm lighting it up. You know what I mean?
Good answer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're
welcome. But in this moment, before she can pull the trigger, a werewolf attacks her. At the same time, all of this is happening. Patience Buckner, she comes in and kills the director, and this disrupts the final step.
And honestly, good for Patience because that's karma, bitch.
Yeah. And Marty and Dana share a little joint together as the temple crumbles around them.
I love Marty in every moment, but right now they're just sitting covered in blood. And he's just like, so how are you? Dana also says, I don't even think Kurt has a cousin who would have been the owner of the house. Come on, that's a red flag.
Yeah, should have realized that up top.
But they're both so calm as this layer. Ooh, we have another layer?
Maybe, potentially.
Okay,
kind of. Yeah.
Okay. They're both so calm as it's crumbling. And I would be either crying my ass off or way too tired to care anymore. But let's be real. Like we just said, I'd be dead.
So then to end the film, a giant ancient one's hand bursts from the earth. And this signals the end of the world. Fiend. What are your final thoughts, dude?
So I liked this movie a lot because I love the satirical horror of it all, but I think the ending could have been better.
I agree with that. I think I liked it a lot, and I like it more and more every single time I watch it. I think I find new things every time I watch it.
Yeah.
Like you even pointed out a few things to me that I was like, oh fuck, like I didn't even realize that. So I think that those things are great about it, and because it just plays on all of these classic horror tropes, and we haven't had a film quite nail on the head, so to speak, just like this film does.
I agree. I do like it. Don't get me wrong. I just like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
The ending could have been better.
I do. Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know how it could have been better, but
I think it ended so abruptly. Like it ended so abruptly that I wanted more answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like, does this film then all of a sudden blend into This Is the End with, Seth Rogen?
Oh my gosh.
Now we go down like a comedy route. You know what I mean? It feels like this was the prequel to that.
That's a great call.
I don't know. Maybe I'm 1-2 Aperol spritzes too deep.
That's actually amazing. That would have been amazing. But did you think this was scary?
No, but like I said, I think I have a new fear, which is making out with like a wolf head that has been mounted.
I'm going to suggest you don't do that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I hope I'm not in any environment to ever do that. But what about you?
Not scary at all. I thought it was really thoughtfully comedic. and for a horror movie. And I keep watching it, so they're doing something right.
One thing I have to mention, and I'm so sorry, I feel like I'm getting long-winded at the end of this podcast, but I just have to mention, and we've said this before in some of our episodes, but I love how horror is not afraid to make fun of itself. And that is one of the best things that I love about the genre, is that this film, making fun of all the classic horror tropes, and, you know, there's still some serious like parts of this film kind of in some ways. I love that the horror genre is never fucking afraid to go there.
I love that so much about it,
That
too.
is my favorite thing, and I just love watching films where the films are not scared to challenge what we've all come to know as like the norm, or what the classic archetypes are, or what have you. It's just, I just love that. And I think it's so cool that they call it out here. And this film didn't change anything. We still make films the exact same way. We still make films with all of these archetypes and with these classic monsters. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
what I was just going to say is like,
nobody lost their confidence in horror filmmaking from this film. It's like, if anything, it just made everything better, and we are able to talk about it now.
yes. And just realizing, like, at least for our generation, bringing up those tropes and us being like, holy fuck, you're right. These are tropes.
Yeah, we can like relate them back to so many classic horror, not even classic, but new, old, whatever you want to call it. It's just so cool that we can like relate it all together. I just love it.
And what was your favorite scene?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I had several favorite scenes, but I will say, I think this one might be the same as yours because we're just so fucking similar. But I loved when the merman attacked Hadley. It was so full circle to me. I loved it.
I loved that scene, but I also think I loved when Marty pulls up and he's hotboxing his.
That was my second favorite scene.
Ah.
No, I love that. With his fucking 5-foot coffee bong.
And but then I love it because it's funny as shit. So, and anything with Marty, really. Like, I love my comedic relief.
Well, that is The Cabin in the Woods, you guys. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. And if you would like some bonus content, then please join our Spooky Chicks social club on Patreon. You can always support us by leaving a 5-star review wherever it is that you listen. But honestly, the best way to support us is just by telling another friend that loves horror. And on that note, Allie, do you want to take us out?
Maybe don't go to a random cabin in the woods. Always bet on the zombie redneck murder family. And stay spooky fuckers.